Hey, good morning. Like Doug said, my name is Tammy Roberts, and I am the pastor of Next Gen Ministry, and I'm really thankful that I get to be here with y'all this morning. I feel like when I tell people what I do, they kind of just look at me and kind of go, oh, that's so sweet. And I wish that I had the time to tell everyone what it is that I really do. What I really do is I get to invest in the people who invest in the next generation. I wish that I could tell you that I know every family involved in our ministries. I wish that I could tell you that I know the name of every student, every baby, every elementary age kiddo. I wish that I could tell you that, but I don't. But I work really, really hard to know the names of every leader. Youth ministry, student ministry, college ministry has changed. We've learned some things over time, and we know that if a ministry is built around one person and that person leaves or that person gets a new job, a lot of times the ministry goes with them. And we don't want to do that to our students and our families. So it's really important to us that our ministries are built around caring, consistent adults that over time create safe places for students so that if I leave or I take a night off, everything still happens. And I am so thankful that I get to do that. So when I tell people what I do, and I say, oh, I'm the pastor of Next Gen Ministry, instead of them looking at me and saying, oh, that's so sweet, I wish that I could show them a picture of all the amazing adults that I actually get to work with. And that I get to serve in a church that says we are Next Gen minded. And not only do we say that, but we believe that. We believe in the next generation so much that we are willing to make it part of our mission and what we do. And it is out there for everyone to see. And I think that I am so unbelievably blessed that I get to say, this church has a dream, now let's go move it forward. If you know anything about the next generation right now, the world is moving very, very fast. The world is moving so fast that they really don't need our help. If they want to know the answer to something, in 0.003 seconds, they can get that answer. They really don't need us. They really don't need us to give them information. They know more about mental health than we could ever imagine. They know more about peace and about justice and about cultures. And guess what? They know those things, and they're probably sitting in some of the same desk that you sat in. It's just happening a lot faster. It's happening so fast that at times they're looking at a sports score and then looking at something that's happening across the world. They're looking at something that is so hilarious, and then they're looking at something that is so heartbreaking. It's all happening so fast. And these are the most amazing people that I have ever known. Because not only do they take that information that's happening so fast, but they're using it for so many good things. I want you to know that the world is in really good hands with the next generation. Really good hands. The students that we get to see every week, babies through college, are so smart. And they are kind, and they are generous, and they are compassionate. I hope that as a church, we can see beyond statistics. We can see beyond numbers and things that we know, or maybe a way that they dress. But we can see that these students have something that we can only imagine. And with this information that's coming at them so fast, it's such a responsibility. It's such an overwhelming responsibility and sometimes an overwhelming weight. And being a next-gen minded church, one of my biggest goals is that no student or family ever has to do it alone. I think to me, I'm not as scared about the information and the fast pace of the world as I am that they might possibly do it alone. This happens all the time on Wednesday, so I'm kind of a pro at this. I just keep going until they hand me something different. And look, they magically appear. So I can't imagine a young person having to have this information, or a parent having to parent and guide and nurture this young person alone. I think that is what gets to me. That's what gets to me more More than, yes, all the things that they can see on a device. What gets to me more is that there's a teacher in a classroom who maybe can't walk into those conversations about justice and peace and equality because they're afraid they're going to get canceled. They're afraid that if they say too much or they say what they believe or they say that they have questions and they don't understand, that they're going to get that email, I need to see you in my office. I worry more about the student who is learning about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all these really cool things, but then they go home and their parents are recovering from 2 years of financial stress. Where do they go? Who do they talk to? That is where my heart lies. If we all were to take out our phones right now, and I were to ask you, hey, who are the top 5? Who are the top 5? And actually, as I was preparing for this, I noticed that my emergency contacts, there's 5. There's 5, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that's actually what it was. And I don't know if they actually even know they're my emergency contacts, so I'll be letting y'all know about that. But if we went to our top 5, these would be the top 5 people of what do you want for dinner? When are you going to be home? What time do you have practice? And some of my top 5 are the people that I can send the facepalm emoji to, and we don't have to have a conversation about it. Or I can send a really funny joke and I get the laughing, crying face, and we don't have to talk about it. But those are my top 5. And then I do not know why, I have 3,000 contacts in my phone. I do not know. I'm really hoping that my kids' contacts merge with mine because I don't know why I have 3,000. But I know that some of those are coaches, teachers, school stuff, all the things. And then if I go beyond my top 5, and then all the other people in my phone, I have all these other layers in my phone. And I have to tell you that it was really weird to do the research, but I have over 2,000 people following me on Instagram. I am following almost 3,000, over 2,000 Facebook friends, and if they are all in my contacts, something's wrong. I'm in over 300 Facebook groups, but I am super selective in TikTok, and there's only 206. Super selective. And there is a really good chance that some of those are baby cows. Really good chance. Really good chance. But when everything goes away, when all of those things that are there, I could definitely go to those 2,000 and scroll and scroll and scroll. I could go to those hundreds and let it all go away. But when I really need it, it is the top 5. The top 5 in the people 5 in my phone, people in my life who put my feet back on the ground, who remind me that what feels really big right now, there's actually this God that's a lot bigger than I could ever imagine. When I strip it all away, those top 5 are there. And as my life has gone on, these top 5 have changed. And I didn't know it at the time, but I needed all of these different top 5. I needed coaches who saw me beyond a season, who saw me beyond a 6-foot high school kid. I needed those people in my life. I needed people who would allow me and trust me to babysit their children, but that would also hang out for 30 minutes longer and ask me, really, how's high school going? I needed my friends' parents. Because believe it or not, that toddler that lives in your house right now that wants to tell you every single thing that's running through their brain eventually gets really quiet. Really quiet. And guess what? They probably have 3,000 friends in their phone too. I am so thankful that God gave me these people in my life that said yes to me, and I didn't even know it. I can't imagine going through college, being able to go back home, wherever home was, to some of these top 5. I thought I had it figured out when I left high school, only to come home after my freshman year that I knew absolutely nothing and I was starting over. Thank God for those top 5 and them needing a summer babysitter. Thank God. So at Live Oak, it's important to us that for parents and for students that they can say, I have 5. My kid has 5. So like Doug said, I really like to learn and I really like research. So I tend to look towards two groups. That is the Fuller Youth Institute and Orange Leaders. They have done years and years of research, even during a pandemic, studying students and their families and what it means to have a church that is growing young and growing with. And I love the things that they put out because it's real and it's rational and it's big church and it's small church and it's cultural churches and churches that look the same and look different. And I can't soak up their information enough. One of the leaders that works with Orange and leaders all over the world is Carey Nieuwhof. And he had this to say about 1 to 5. That's why I wanted my kids to have at least 5 other adults in their life, guiding them and giving input. 5 people who know their hopes and their dreams. 5 people who know their quirks and good points. 5 people they can talk to honestly about what's really going on in their lives. 5 people who can offer wisdom when life gets confusing. And 5 people who can care about them and pray for them. Y'all, this is coming from a leader who weekly on his podcast has people from all over the world that are so unbelievably wise. This is coming from a leader who is leading ministry leaders in how to move forward the church. And he is saying, my children need 5. My children need 5. And here's the deal. Parenting children in 2022 is an amazing gift and an amazing blessing. And while I would love to tell all parents, hey, at the end of the day, sit down at the table face to face with your child and talk to them. Let me know how that goes. Because while I would love to have that conversation with the tiny humans in my house, they know that at the end of that conversation, I still might take their phone. And I still might have to take the car keys, because guess what? I'm the parent. And guess what? Dinner's probably burning, or maybe it's not happening. Laundry's still happening. And I can't do it alone. And they may not want to talk to me. And I'm so thankful for leaders around the world that figured this out. That there are people in the world who aren't going to take the car keys, aren't going to tell them, hey, your life's on pause till that grade comes up. Every kid needs those people. And Kara Powell from Fuller Youth Institute had this to say. She says, that's why I wanted, one more. She said, I'm not talking about 5 Bible study leaders. I'm talking about an adult in your church who meets a kid named Claire and remembers Claire's name. Or an adult who talks to Nathan and asks how they can be praying for him. And then the next week, they ask Nathan how it's going with soccer this week. So again, Kara Powell, the director of the Fuller Youth Institute, needs people, understands how bad we need people to be invested within our church. People who see beyond. And again, it's not a biblical leader. It's not someone who's a scholar. It's someone who remembers a name or remember that a kid has soccer. There's also some research that says that currently right now, Pew Research says 22% of Americans are attending church regularly. And by regularly, that means 1.5 times a month. I have such a dream for this church that when our students leave high school, that their faith is not fading, but their faith is exploding. That they have more questions about their faith than we have answers. That they are saying, show me more. I don't understand. Explain this. And I don't want the generation above them to be so quiet and so afraid to answer those questions that they say, well, yeah, that's how that went, so why would I go? I want them to explode with questions. And I want there to be adults for them to go to. I want them to have people in their circle who will listen to the changes in their faith and also help them build their faith. Mark 2 tells us a story of a man on the mat. It's a story of a man who had been basically written off, but Jesus had a different plan. Here's what the verse says, Mark 2, 1-5. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. They gathered in such large numbers there was no room left, not even outside the door, and he preached the word to them. Some men came, bringing to him a paralyzed man, carried by the 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above the roof above Jesus by digging through it, and then lowered the mat the man was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." I hope this week you'll have time to dig a little deeper into this verse both before and after, because it is an amazing story. But I want to stop here today because this story isn't about what Jesus saw in this paralyzed man. This story isn't about what he saw when they dug through the roof, except their faith. Their faith. He didn't ask about their strength. He didn't ask how they did it. He didn't ask them anything. He saw their faith, and he was healed. He saw their faith. And I would encourage you to think of a young person. Maybe you have an intern in your office. Maybe you have a young family that you watch walk a newborn baby crying at 7 o'clock down the sidewalk. Maybe you have a family in your neighborhood and the kids like to do sidewalk chalk after school. Maybe there's people within this church, and I want you to visualize them sitting on that mat. And do you know if they have people with this kind of faith holding on? Do they have a corner of the mat filled with people that Jesus is saying, Jesus saw their faith? And I'm going to tell you this, every teenager doesn't need to be healed. They are not a problem to be solved. And so that's where number 5 comes in. Because all morning I've been telling you 1 to 5. That 5th person is that person who is willing to get on the mat. It's not someone to heal them. It's someone to sit beside them and say, I'm right here. I'm right here. And when it maybe gets a little too messy, tap out to one of those other people and let them get on the mat. The great thing about young people is they're not afraid for you to get on the mat with them. They are not. Because guess what? You can get on the mat by playing blocks. Just sitting on the floor and playing blocks, and they will spill their guts to you. You don't have to teach high school kids about major life decisions, but you sure can throw a football with them. You sure can throw a football with them. When you walk past a young person and they're reading a book, you don't have to fix their parents' divorce. You could just talk to them about Harry Potter. And a college kid who thought they figured out their pathway when they left high school and now maybe doesn't have it figured out, you don't have to have it figured out either, but they sure do love Starbucks. They sure do love Starbucks. And when I think of these mats that are all across this world right now with young people sitting on them, my heart breaks for the mat that doesn't have people at every corner. My heart breaks for the people who maybe they had 4 people holding on and someone let go. Did someone else step in? Because mine sure did change. It's okay if it changes, but I encourage you to envision someone sitting on the mat. And is it your job to step up and hold a corner? Is it your job to laugh with them, to ask questions? And you may be thinking, it is scary, it is messy, it is funny, it is fun. And it is so worth it. It is so worth it. Hebrews 4:16 tells us this. Tells us, let us approach God's throne of grace with confidence. And I want to stop right there for a second. If God's throne is full of grace, all that you need is a little bit of confidence because his throne is so gracious. It is so gracious. And that we're going to receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Y'all, imagine what the world would look like if every teenager had someone saying yes, just a little bit of confidence to say yes. That college kid that's been on your heart and you wonder how they've been since they moved away, send the care package. The tired parents, order the Chick-fil-A. Order it. The kid who is bumping the volleyball against the house by themselves, ask if they want you to play. The world is going to give you every reason to say no and to tell you not to do it. And I'm telling you, go do it. And if you need someone, I can find you a kid. I promise you. I promise you that God has placed someone in your world. And if that's not your story, I ask that you would ask for it. Be confident and ask for it. Here's the deal. Student ministry is going to get it wrong. We are going to fail some students. We are going to fail some parents. We cannot do it all on our own. I encourage you, if you need help, if you don't know how to even get started, come ask, because we need all the help we can get. And I am so thankful that we have so many people who have said yes to the next generation at Live Oak. And I wish that I had enough time. I was asked to narrow it down. But I wish that I could tell you all about every person who is serving in the next generation. But I do want to tell you about a few. I want to tell you about the Power family. So one of my favorite things that happens is when someone says no, or when someone walks into a ministry and says, I'm just going to do this. So this started with Kim Power saying, I'm just going to serve in First Impressions. Don't ask me to do anything else. So we'll fast forward a few years, and Kim is now serving along with her co-leaders with a group of 9th grade girls. Her husband has now gone from senior boys to 7th grade boys, and all of her children are serving in Treehouse Club because Kim said no. All because Kim said no. So if you're sitting there right now thinking that your no is your no, maybe just a little bit of confidence, because I'm really thankful for Kim's no. Really thankful for Kim's no. I also want to tell you about another person who said no. Katie Brown never in a million years thought that she would serve in the Next Gen ministry until someone in her adult small group told her, I see in you. I see in you that you could do this. And maybe that's your role. Maybe you see something in your circle that like someone did for Katie. And not only is Katie now serving with 7th grade girls, but one of the things I love about what Katie is doing is she has a postgraduate student and a student in college that she serves alongside with. And Kendall and Alyssa are growing in their faith because of Katie saying yes to them. She shows up early on Wednesday night to invest in them and to love them so that they can better love their girls. And I am so thankful, again, for Katie's no, but I'm also thankful for the person who told Katie, I see in you. Lachelle Rich is one of those people who would tell you, I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but I know how to listen. Lachelle listens like no one I've ever met. She will listen to a high school girl for a very long time. There comes a time as a teacher that I used to tell kids, you're out of words. You are out of words for today. Lachelle never reaches that capacity. I don't know how, whether it's kindergarten and first grade girls or high school girls, she doesn't have a word limit. And I am so thankful. I am so thankful for people like Lachelle who just listen. Derek Bowman and Chris Matherly, his boys actually just graduated, and he said, I'll see you next year. And he started back over with 6th grade. Derek Bowman came to me one day and said, hey, my boys that are in Treehouse Club, first of all, my boys, you need to know that Derek has a lot of little girls that live in his house. And he said, my boys are moving up, and I need to move with them. What an amazing amount of 6th grade fun happens with them. It's amazing. And the things that they talk about, we go from Pokemon to prayer like that. Like, it's pretty amazing. But what I love about this is that you're going to see Derek on Sunday mornings with 2nd and 3rd grade boys serving with his family. And you're also going to see Chris Matherly coming early on Wednesdays so that the boys that graduated can just come and talk to him. Just come talk. He doesn't have to do these things, and he doesn't have to have the answers. He's just giving them a safe place. And then lastly, I want to tell you about some of the most fun and funny people. We lovingly call them Branny. It's Danny and Branson. And Danny and Branson serve everywhere. Danny serves with his family. Branson serves First Impressions, college ministry. But what I love to see with these two is that Danny and Branson have created a community with each other. Danny calls Branson to more every week. When Branson says, I can't do this, I don't know enough, Danny says, yes, you do, and I'm going to my son's baseball game. Yes, you can handle 12 ninth graders. It's pretty amazing. And he does. And they love to match him. These boys wear Hawaiian shirts like no other. But because of what Danny has invested in Branson, I see these glimpses of Branson doing it to other people. He has other college people that he says, hey, yes, you can do it. Because he has someone telling him, yes, you can do it. So I want to close in just asking you, I just want you to reflect this week and today on whose mat is it? Where is this mat? Where do you need to go? And I am so unbelievably thankful for the people who are saying yes. So thankful. I'm going to let Doug close us out, and thank you for letting me be here.
I think that was planned. Seriously, maybe you caught a little glimpse of why I don't know anybody who's done more to invest in the next generation than Tammy Roberts, and more to just constantly be learning on a very moving target. But it's not research that drives her. It's the next generation. She deeply loves the next generation. She leads these leaders well. And so I want to thank her and those who have given kind of their life and career to doing this. Tammy leads our Live Oak student ministry and overall Next Gen ministry. Christy leads our Acorn Club preschool ministry. Christy Barnett leads kids ministry. Austin, who is leading worship today, helps with worship ministry and Next Gen programming. Madison leads our college ministry. Branson is an intern with us who is just an amazing young leader. Like they're investing their vocation in this, but then there's so many that some of you have other jobs and you're investing in this. We have hundreds of volunteers who are serving the next generation, and we need it because everyone needs somebody knowing and investing in them. Some people, they're not small group leaders, they're First Impressions or they're tech booth or they're helping with stage design or just practical things. There are so many things that you can do and so many things that many of you are doing, and I am just so grateful. Thank you. What we believe is that everybody should do something to know and invest in someone in the next generation. So what I want to ask you is, what is your something? I don't want you to leave here today without just knowing what is your something, and who is your someone. Because someone needs you. And you don't have to practically sign up to serve here to have a someone. As a matter of fact, when we're getting it right as a church, it's happening not in a formal volunteer serving role. It's happening organically in life. For you, this week, who is your someone? What is your something? For some of you, it is to serve here. So if you're interested in serving in any of the Next Gen ministries, we have a sign-up box, and you can sign up anytime, but you can sign up under sign-up events on our app, website, or digital bulletin. And any of those ministries, if you just want to have a conversation and learn about it, please do that. That's always available. But for all of us, whether you ever sign up to serve in Next Gen ministries here or not, what kind of difference would it make if we all approached every week saying, I'm going to do something for someone this week, to know them, to listen to them, and to try and invest in them? I'll tell you one quick story. Last Sunday night, every Sunday night I kind of plan out my week. And one of the questions I ask myself every week is, how will I invest in someone in the next generation this week? Who and how? And I plan it out. But I also pray, God, I want to invest in the next generation this week. Would you please give me an opportunity? This is the absolute truth. Last Sunday night, I prayed that prayer as I'm planning out the week, and I was trying to figure out who, and I actually had somebody who and how in mind. And then after I'd been asleep for about an hour and a half, my phone buzzed, and it was someone from the next generation saying, hey, can we have dinner this week? I have some stuff bouncing around in my head. I just need to talk to somebody. And it's someone that I'd never met with before. And it was a graduating college senior who, you guessed, they're trying to figure out what's next. It's a pressing question when you're a senior. And they were having such a hard time. Man, God answered that prayer. If you would just pray, God, this week, I want to do something to invest in someone in the next generation. I'm pretty sure he'll answer your prayer. So again, here's the question. Be specific for you. You're an everyone. Who is your someone? And what is your something? What will you do to know and invest in the next generation? Hey, one easy thing you could do, whether it's next generation or not, is we have Easter coming up. It's one of the easiest Sundays to invite somebody to church. We have 3 services that day instead of 2. We have 3 to make room, 8:30, 10, and 11:30. And if Live Oak is your church, would you help us out by trying to attend the edges? By that I mean the 8:30 a.m. or the 11:30 a.m. Because the 10 a.m. is usually the most full. Sometimes it's overly full. So if you could do that, that would be helpful. So plan when you're going to attend. But then we would ask you, would you just be invitational and ask God to show you who? And maybe it is someone in the next generation. I actually have a college student that I'm going to invite to come to Easter. He doesn't go to church, but he's interested in spiritual things because he's taking a Western rhetoric church class at Texas Tech, and it stirred up some spiritual interest. Hey, I'm going to invite him. I'm going to talk about some spiritual things on Easter. Why don't you come with me on Easter? Be prayerful. Doesn't have to be a next-gen person, but it could be. So who will you invite? Please have an invitational mindset. Here's a QR code you can scan that can you can access an invite. You can go to the app and see an invite that you can actually share. Easter is a message of ultimate hope that our world needs always, but especially it feels very relevant right now. And we have this shareable Easter invitation for you to make it easy to invite. Please do that. We also have some invite cards scattered in some Easter baskets throughout the foyer that you can use to hand somebody, and it's got the QR code that they can scan and all the information on it. Take some of those and prayerfully invite somebody. Deal? Thanks to you for the 3 of you that agreed to that. Deal? Awesome. Let me pray for us. God, thanks for all those who are investing in the next generation. I want to thank you for the people who did that for me. I was one of those middle school and high school students who walked away from it. I could have kept walking, but some people came walking after me. They got on the mat with me. They carried the mat for me. They had faith for me when I didn't have faith for myself. And God, I do believe that you are looking for people that you can send out into this important group of people, the next generation. They matter so much to you. They should matter so much to us. Help us to not try and just view them as a problem to be solved, but people to be loved, people to be walked with, and people to invest in. And give us the opportunity to do that this week. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thanks for being here.